Will the VA grant you two separate percentages for two different mental diagnoses? In today's video, I'm going to explain. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne Kimball, owner and founder of KMD89 VA Claims Consulting, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. Today's video, can you be service connected for two separate mental diagnoses? But before we get into today's video, make sure you go out to Amazon, you pick up a new book, The VA Claims Success, Your Guide to Maximizing Your VA Compensation. It's a good read, and I think, well, I know it will help you throughout the VA claims process, okay? So, today's video, can you be service connected for two different mental diagnoses and granted two separate percentages? The answer is no, okay? A lot of vets make the mistake of saying, hey, I'm service connected for depression. Can I put a claim in for PTSD? You can, but the VA employees are going to take that as a claim for increase. You can't have 50% for depression and 50% for PTSD. That is what they call pyramiding, okay? I'm not going to get into that right now, but just know it is called pyramiding. They can't give you a separate diagnosis, a mental diagnosis, different percentages for two different mental diagnoses, okay? So another mistake veterans make is they'll say, I'm claiming military sexual trauma due to a sexual assault in service, and I'm going to claim PTSD separately. You can do that, but they're going to combine the two. PTSD due to military sexual trauma, MST, okay? And again, some veterans say, oh, I was diagnosed with anxiety in service. And I served in combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, Saudi, somewhere like that. And they'll say, I'm claiming anxiety due to service and PTSD due to combat. Now, you can do that, but again, they're not going to give you 30% for anxiety and 50% for PTSD. They're going to combine the two, all right? But to further explain this, I'm going to show you a couple of slides, okay? So slide number one. Here's slide number one. I took this from the VA's rating schedule, on the VA's website, the VA's rating schedule for mental conditions. Now, there's other mental conditions listed. I couldn't fit them all on one slide, so I just found some that I've seen veterans commonly claim and get service connected for, okay? So the ones that I have highlighted in red, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, anxiety disorder, mood disorders to include major depressive disorder and mood disorder not otherwise specified. Now, again, there's several other mental diagnoses in the rating schedule. I only picked a couple of categories to share with you today. So what does that mean? That means mental is mental. Again, they're not going to separate the two diagnoses. They're going to combine them. So keep in mind, if you are service connected for PTSD and then you turn around and claim anxiety, the VA is going to take that as a claim for increase. All right? Now, slide number two. This is the diagnosis, this is the diagnostic criteria, okay? This is the diagnostic criteria. On the previous slide, I failed to mention those four numbers to the left of those diagnoses, those are called diagnostic codes. And each one represent a different diagnosis, and that's in any body system. But this is the diagnostic code criteria. So you can see at the top, it says general rating formula for mental disorders. So for all those diagnoses I showed you on slide 1, the criteria is the same for the 0%, 10%, 30%, 50%, 70%, and 100%. So again, the criteria for 70% for PTSD is the same for schizophrenia, mood disorder, anxiety, okay? Now, I highlighted some things in red because this gets veterans in trouble sometimes because they don't come here, when they file their claim, they don't come here, look at the diagnostic code criteria before they go to that CMP exam. They get into that CMP exam and guess what they say? Oh, let me just tell you my story. And you've already lost, you just lost the examiner, okay? So what I have highlighted in red is occupational and social impairment. I have yet to have a veteran ask me, Dwayne, what does that mean? I'm gonna go ahead and give you an example, okay? So let's just say you're claiming PTSD due to combat. You served in Iraq, Afghanistan, Saudi, Kuwait, somewhere in Southwest Asia. Then you're claiming PTSD based on fear of hostile terrorist activity while serving in combat or during combat in Southwest Asia, okay? They're gonna go to, the VA employee is gonna go to your DD-214 or somewhere to see if you served there. If so, the next step, they should be requesting a CMP exam, okay? Now, before you go to that CMP exam, you're gonna say, Dwayne, what do I do? Well, you come here and look at these different diagnostic codes, criteria, and look at some of the symptoms. If you don't know the definition of some of these symptoms, Google them so you can get the definition, okay? But as it pertains to occupational and social impairment, you're claiming PTSD. So now you have to think, how does me being in combat, having PTSD affects my occupational life and my social life, okay? So I'll give you some examples. Occupational. You may have to work from home, work remote, so you're in a safe environment. Your home is a safe environment. That could be one. You don't get along with your peers. You may have had some outbursts at work and got written up or something to that effect. Maybe you're a salesperson and you cover several territories, so you don't have to deal directly with the customer. You're just dealing with the people that report to you, which you may not see every single day. So how does it affect your job, your PTSD? Do you have to take continuous breaks? Do you have FMLA? Because you may have to take time off work due to your PTSD. And this is for any diagnosis, okay? Just not PTSD. I'm using PTSD as an example. Now, social life. When you go into a restaurant, do you have to sit facing the door to see people come in? Do you not like being around crowds of people? You more so, are you a recluse or a semi-recluse, try to keep to yourself? Are you guarded? Do you get up at night checking the locks on the doors to make sure it's locked? Your patio door is locked. If you were a guard, security guard, or at a checkpoint and you're driving, do you always drive in the inner lane? Because you may see a paper bag at a corner and think it's an IED, especially if you've ever been in an IED explosion. You're always looking around when you're driving. You're on guard, okay? So you have to be able to explain, how does the mental condition that you're claiming affect your occupational and your social life? And again, look at those symptoms for each one, okay? So if you feel you meet the 70% criteria, you come here, you look at it, yep, I feel I meet the 70% criteria. That's what you're talking about on the CMP exam, not the 0, 10, 30, or 50%. And you're not going in there saying, oh, let me just tell you my story. Okay, that's pretty much straightforward, okay? if you're claiming any condition, you need to get to the VA's website, look up that diagnosis or condition that you're claiming, and familiarize yourself with the diagnostic codes. In the book, I talk about that. Go a little bit in depth with it, okay? Again, veterans, you got to get educated. The time is over for playing with this. You have to get educated. If you have somebody else to submit that claim form for you, that's okay. I'm not saying not do it, but you need to understand what they put on that form. You need to understand, ask them, hey, can you explain the diagnostic code criteria to me? What does occupational and social impairment mean? Okay, if somebody's representing you and they can't explain that to you, that could be a problem. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's up to you. This is your claim. You have to make the decision to get educated so you can be successful with your VA claim. Okay, now, with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.